is quite substantial. It's about 83% of all imports by the European Union from Russia is related to energy products. So it would be good if we can diversify this trade relationship. Now, one small note, if we talk about economic integration, one thing that we shouldn't forget is that there should also be trade and investment facilitation initiatives, because just signing these very important free trade agreements is not sufficient. It's not a sufficient condition to really achieve an active business relationship between Russia and the European Union. And so therefore all kinds of initiatives, including this forum we're currently attending, to bring people together is definitely beneficial to this. Now, finally, we can also raise the question whether such a preferential trade agreement is actually sufficiently ambitious. And as you may know, the European Union has quite some tradition in signing preferential trade agreements in recent years. We had one with South Korea, Chile, South Africa, negotiations are going on with Japan, India, and so on. Well, from that experience, let's say, we learned that a preferential trade agreement nowadays goes well beyond, let's say, the traditional just free trade ID that used to be central to preferential trade agreements in the past. And nowadays we are talking about enhanced preferential trade agreements. And the enhancement basically comes from the fact that those preferential trade agreements can cover much more than international trade. They can cover intellectual property, they can cover investment initiatives, they can cover country of origin conditions, which are very crucial to the European Union as well as to its trading partners. Now secondly, there may be another idea to go beyond a preferential trade agreement. Why, and this is of course a long-term idea, why should the European Union and Russia not think and negotiate the formation of a customs union? What's the difference between a customs union and a preferential trade agreement? Well, basically it means that in a customs union you are launching a common external trade policy. And it means that you will sit together, you will set up institutions that will determine the trade policy with respect to other countries, non-EU countries, and not Russia. Of course, this is a long-term policy, and it will take a lot of time to implement this, but this would really lead, let's say, to an in-depth cooperation between Russia and the European Union. It would also facilitate Russia's integration into the World Trade Organization, because if you have already a very intensive agreement with the European Union, it's not difficult to extend that to other countries in the world. And as such, you could say that the EU and Russia could be like a tandem in the world. They are working together. It's an axis, let's say, an axis through which they can strengthen their international competitiveness. Which means not only, let's say, better access to each other's markets, but also to markets where both are already active in. So basically, there are complementarities that you can benefit from. And finally, this would be a framework to make Russian-EU trade much more relying on energy trade. Okay. So one can of course wonder, why is this not yet the case? Why is Europe not yet talking with the Russian government about the formation of a preferential trade agreement? Well, if you look at the external trade policy of the European Union at this moment, well, you see a clear focus on emerging economies, but it's a clear focus on the other BRIC countries, so on Brazil, India, China. And the relationship with Russia, although there are a lot of dialogues going on, a lot of fora going on, where there are, let's say, informal discussions, well, the formal talks about preferential trade agreements have not been started yet. Is this a lack of trust? Are there too many political and strategic issues that are raising obstacles? Anyway, my suggestion and my idea is that if we would launch a plan for a preferential trade agreement, which in the longer run would be turned into a customs union, this could reduce the structural barriers to a real economic friendship between Russia and the European Union.